and they approve the budget, which we develop, which we present to them. They have the final approval of the budget. So when we set up a budget that will produce a certain tax rate, the legislature has to approve that tax rate, which they normally do. Within the last couple of years, there's been quite a disagreement over what role, if any, the legislature should, what additional role, maybe I should say, the legislature would play in that, and that's caused a great deal of concern. I, of course, support the position of the 12 supervisors. You know, we think we've done a fine job. You know, we operate districts that operate in the black. We operate districts which provide a service to their communities with a 30 and 35-year-old plant, but we've continued to upgrade it. We take care of our infrastructure we have to, when we have to, by bonding or however. Our tax rate is quite low for the service we provide. The water rates are extremely low. And when we compare that, and I don't want to put down the three cities, but over time the three cities have not paid attention to their infrastructure. And so you have Lockport, Niagara Falls, and North Tonawanda showing tremendous water loss in their water operations. I think Lockport is now at 50%. You know, something like that. North Tonawanda might be 35. I think Niagara Falls is very high, up in the 40s or something like that. The county water district is about 5 or 6% of water loss, you know, which is where you should be, in the single digits. So we think we've done a good job like that, and we are somewhat puzzled as to why the legislature wants to get involved in it. It's not all the members of the legislature, it's some of them that are pushing the issue. Is it a power issue? Probably so, quite frankly, you know.
Is it the legislature, or is it something else driving a power grab? I mean, you know what?
It's certain legislators that are pushing it.
Okay.
Not all of them. Not all of them. Some of them say they wish the issue had never come up, that they shouldn't be involved at all, other than when we have to go to them. As I said, the bonding, the personnel, and the budget approval, those three areas.
Would you say the county auditor has the right to not pay a bill?
No, she does not. She works, when the district is set up, the county treasurer is our treasurer. The auditor is our auditor. When she's working on sewer district bills or water district bills, she's really performing that function for the district. And so she should interpret those in line with whatever contracts we've approved, whatever bills we've approved. That's how that ought to be handled. She has found herself being influenced, directed by certain members of the legislature, and that's causing problems.
As supervisor, what do you intend to do to keep things on the up and up for your district, for the sewer district and water district?
We will continue to work as hard as we can to continue to operate as we do. I mean, you know, it becomes a bit wearing that every time we turn around, whether the issue is personnel, whether the issue is financing, whether the issue is paying for attorneys, or the issue is who the engineer is, to have to go through those battles. Endless meetings with the Public Works Committee or the Administration Committee. You read about it, and I don't know if it's been in your paper, but it's really been in the Buffalo paper about the sewer district and the chief operator. You know, I can't remember how many times I've been before the Public Works Committee, and you know, they would tell us and give us direction, the chairman particularly, and say that you need to change this or change that, and we go back and make these adjustments, and then they come up with something new, and it just gets very big.
Is there something that citizens could do to help correct that?
Call up the legislators that are causing the problem, absolutely. You know, one of the issues is that if you ever had to have a referendum on a sewer district or water district, the only people that would be able to vote in the referendum would be the citizens that live in that district. Okay, and I think very much so the you know, those people are gonna support their supervisors, I would expect.
I think the legislature's got enough on their plates with them.
Well, that's my feeling, you know, they've got all sorts of major issues which they have to deal with. I don't want to deal with their issues. Why do they worry themselves about the ones that I think we are doing a good job of taking care of?
Yeah.
They've got major issues, you know, I guess that's why there's 19 of them, that's why they pay them the big bucks, you know, to make those decisions.
Can you give us your take on, you know, the beginning of the election season and when the GOP decided not to endorse you?
Do we really need to get into that?
I'd like to hear from you. I don't know if we've ever had you on the record or, you know. I mean, you're the guy. I mean, you're still alive. You're fighting, so.
Oh yeah, we're doing very well.
Yeah.
The 3 days before the Niagara County Republican Committee meeting back in May, I believe, I was called by a reporter for the 2 days before, two days before, I was called by a reporter for the Buffalo News who wanted to know what I thought about the fact that Henry Matajic told him that he was not going to support me for supervisor of the town of Cameron. And I said, gee, I didn't know that. You know, and that was the first that I had heard about. So we talked, and I made some phone calls and everything, and apparently Henry had mentioned this to the reporter at the Tuesday night, or after the Tuesday night legislature meeting. So actually this is Wednesday, one day before. So Thursday night, or Thursday, the article came out in the newspaper, Thursday night we had the meeting, and it was brought up, and the resolution specified that the committee would not endorse the supervisor of the town of Cameron. And there was discussion on it. I was allowed to speak, and I got up and I questioned why we were recruiting another Republican to run against an incumbent when I was hard pressed to see where I had gone and fallen in the town of Cameron. I pointed out that I've been a lifelong Republican. When I was in the service, I voted every year religiously absentee ballot. When I came back here and I got into politics and got involved in the committee, and I've supported the committee. I passed petitions for the committee, some of the people that were speaking up. And so I just, raised that question, and I said that I couldn't understand why this was happening, and there was no real explanation given that night. It obviously went through the executive committee. So they put it to a vote, and there were a large chorus of names to vote. And so somebody asked for a show of hands, and about a third of the people raised their hands in opposition to that motion, which was a very pleasant surprise to me. I did not expect that. And the chairman very quickly called the vote official that they would not endorse me, and that's where it started. I had a lot of support from people at the meeting that night. And so I went out and I put together a campaign, and we had a primary, and I was successful in that.
Yeah.
And so now I'm, into the general election. I do have the Democratic endorsement, as well as the working families. So I have 3 lines. Shirley has 2 lines, conservative and independent.